as you mentioned last game, Kobe, was when we look at how they approach the game, it is draft a very strong bot side of the map, kind of put Flancher on something safe up towards the top side, try and get a decent mid jungle, but often draft more towards the team fight. But bringing out the Zillion was really a big shift for EDG, and is something that now Damwon have to play around and adapt to, just like they did in the T1 series.
Well, once again, we've got Damwon here on this blue side. They ban away different champions this time around, though. It's going to be the Nami that's prioritized over that Lucian ban that we saw. The Aphelios also going to be taken off the board, and it's the standard red side bans with Jhin, the first pick for Ghost.
Already huge differences here. The Jarvan banned away from JJ after 7 in a row early picks for him, and getting that Jhin. Not only was it such a high priority for Ghost individually, and did Damwon utilize it so well for their picks, but also Viper showing in the previous one how well he can actually take that pick and turn it right back around on them. My God, these are going fast, Atlas.
Yeah, these are insane picks as well, because we've got the actual Damwon Kia skin bottom lane.
Yes.
This is the Leona into the Rakan. Leona has always been a pretty good pick into that champion on the bottom side, and we've got Engage versus Engage between Mako and Beryl.
Exactly. Part of the reason they go together so well is the super long threat that you can have when you take your Jhin and your Leona. So many options for plays, and Damwon have already showcased how well they can utilize pick comps to get early leads, to allow them to then take objectives without having to fight you 5-on-5 at the objective, because they do their homework, preemptively getting deeper vision, preemptively getting a pick onto your champions. Meanwhile, on the side of EDG, Vedius.
Yeah, I think that what they've gone for is a bit of a shift to what we typically see. When you look at their drafts at the tournament, they've prioritized getting themselves the bot lane first. Often it's things like Aphelios Lulu, or they'll try and get themselves the Lucian Nami, and of course a lot of this removed, that's usually where their priority is. So the fact that they first pick the Rakan into then drafting themselves a strong mid-jungle, we're now going to see a lot more focus played around Scout, in particular Mako roaming up towards. So we're going to see a Damwon style being played into Damwon, as Damwon has decided to prioritize their bot lane. So both teams very much shifting their approach, and now we really get to see the depths of Showmaker's pool. Because my question is, will EDG ban the Kassadin? Do they know the tech? Because I feel like that this is something that Showmaker is willing to bring out into the LeBlanc and has done even this year.
Yeah, Kassadin and Malzahar are both pretty good champions into the LeBlanc. Malzahar for the lockdown, of course, point and click, very easy. The Kassadin can definitely outscale. LeBlanc is kind of pressured to do something early in that matchup. And since they've already gotten the Xin Zhao on the side of EG2, you have a lot of threat there.
I do want to talk about the flexibility of Damwon. We assume that that is a Graves going to the top lane, but I want to remind everyone that Canyon was the best Graves player that we had in Korea. The champion was just ludicrous in his hands, so something that they could look to flex, although we haven't seen its success in the jungle this Worlds. But it does mean that they will need to have some sort of CC, either coming out of that top side of the map or coming from the jungle for Damwon.
Ooh, they are really focusing on Viper this time around too. His famed Ezreal banned away, even with Yuumi already banned, and it's gonna push him to the Kai'Sa here. This is such good follow-up for some of these very aggressive looks.
Could this be a Malphite game for EDG?
Ooh.
I mean, you kind of look at what they've drafted for themselves, and when there's a lot of AD on the side of Damwon, things like Graves, things like Jhin, if a Kiana in there as well, particularly squishy, could be room there for EDG, but we'll wait and see. Let's round out Damwon's draft, because what will be their answer to this LeBlanc Xin Zhao? We are going to see Canyon on his Kiana, which I definitely am a big fan of, getting to see him play this champion.
Yeah, me too, but they need a lot of magic damage on the side of Damwon Kia. What can they give Showmaker that can do a lot of consistent magic damage so that they don't just get itemized against during the game? And it looks like it will be the Malzahar. Some technology that a certain European has brought to Korea and definitely did some good things on. But the Malzahar is going to be locked in, so that is a lot of magic damage, but takes a little while to get going. So the Damwon Kia mid lane priority and pressure that they're known for is going to be more difficult this time.
Yeah, not surprising at all. And while it does take a little while to get going, just getting to the level 6 and having access to your point-and-click ultimate doesn't take as long to get going as Kassadin, the other option. So
yeah, I'm glad he didn't play that. I mean, I don't think I ever liked it when he picked it. I'm not going to lie, even though he did do some winning.
And Flandre throws it down. You steal away my Graves. We're throwing another volatile matchup right at your face. I love the confidence that EDG are coming into this series versus the defending world champions with. Stealing away from Ghost in game number 1. This game, stealing away from Showmaker with the LeBlanc to get you a volatile matchup mid, and then also throwing it top side too. They're saying, we do not have to play around solely Viper. We can play around so much more, and they've got the solo lane picks to do that this time around, Vedius, but do they have the play to back it up?
Yeah, I will say that the team fighting is a little bit weaker compared to what we've seen typically throughout the tournament from the side of EDG, so I'm excited to see this slightly different style. In particular, Mako on this roaming champion. Like, I loved it when he was playing the Leona last week. I'm excited to see him on the Rakan in this game, and let's find out if EDG can get a 2-point lead over the reigning world champion.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Mako just demonstrating his prowess at the style that he helped pilot and almost design, because his engage has always been just an absolute joy to watch. But both of these team compositions feel to me like they have a similar game style. Instead of last time, it feeling like there was an ace in the hole for EDG when it came to team fights, when it came to taking control with that Zilean. This feels like a little bit more of an honest brawl between these two squads. So let's see whether Damwon Kia can bring it to that best of 3 that we all want.
Now, I have become the stats man in this trio, so some quick stats for you. Flandre is currently 8-4 wins to losses all time on his Aurelia, and actually only played it once in summer. So not a lot of recent experience, but overall in his history, he does have a pretty positive record.
I'm going to lobby for us to get a little jingle for you so we can have a sponsored Vedius Statsman segment here to chime in. Maybe a little pop-up there, Alice.
Yeah, we can try and work on it for game number 3. Thankfully, we definitely have one of those. But don't forget to grab your exclusive Happiness Overload Prime Gaming emote so you can flex in your next game. Featured matchup is coming up very, very soon as well. But
that's what my face looks like every time Statsman Vedius picks up and we get a little, fun fact.
I feel like
that's
the
my face.
The whites in the eyes are too large. I don't know. It kind of freaks me out a
That's
little
my face getting the cast with you two gentlemen today.
Aww.
What a joy it has been. It's weird to think that I'm the youngest of the 3 of us, man.
Why is that weird to think?
I'm pretty sure he just insulted us.
I think so as well.
Right, getting into the game, let's have a look at where some vision has come down in terms of this early game, because we will see that EDG has invested in a little bit of early game vision. They have decided to drop this deep ward onto the blue buff to get some insight as to where they start, also dropping onto their top side, suggesting that they are going to start a bot and path towards the top side.
Yeah, and I want to highlight the double sweepers from EDG as well. When you see an opening like this for trinkets, you really expect an early gank. So my eyes get real big. I'm excited because this is a difference from EDG. And until you're really pushed, you don't have to, make as many variations like this in your style, in the way that you're going to play the game. Until you come up against, world champions. So now, with these picks, very volatile, both top side and mid lane here in these matchups can look for punishments, can look for these early plays, and with double sweepers, it's going to allow Scout to try and keep this mid lane clear. Basically, as LeBlanc, you're trying to harass and put as much pressure on the Malzahar early on and force him to miss CS, because it's kind of hard as Malzahar to miss to land those CS early on. And if you have that extra sweeper, go find that ward. There he goes.
Yeah, speaking of which, but bit of an engage here towards the bottom side of the map as Beryl is now burning down 100 health for the moment. Ghost actually scared me a little bit there because I thought the Beryl might have been dying without us being able to know, but Beryl does make it out. Health bar is quite low. Mako now looking to try and continue to punish, but a lot of control here for EDG. And what I was going to say was Canyon with a little bit of some beautiful play there, just avoiding the ward to make sure he stays invisible, of course. That are, limited camps to be going to, still a thing, but staying invisible on the map certainly good as he went to the Gromp.
So both junglers positioning still very mysterious for the time being. But I will say that trade, while Beryl definitely came short in terms of the health, they were able to burn both the cleanse and the ignite from the EDG duo while they kept all of their summoners. So overall, a beneficial trade to the Damwon bot, and it gave them a little bit more control over this wave. And as you'll see, notice that Canyon did the very fast level 3 clear, going from his red interactors into immediate topside, and then pathing back towards bot. And this trade is really important to allow Canyon to actually get this early scuttle, because if they lost this push, then he may very well have lost both.
Yeah, it's not a very well-kept secret as far as the mystery of,
yeah,
of the
exactly.
Admittedly, yes.
Even with Scout going over and clearing that ward.
Ooh, not able to quite get the passive too early, but the flash still has to come out from Showmaker. Down to about 100. as he's going to get a bunch of very adorable little beelings. And now another Zenith play. They thought the barrel had gone back as Mako battle dance, grand entrance to get himself out, but Canyon dives on forward. Viper has to flash, and they're running out of summoner spells in the bottom lane.
Canyon doing a great job there. Doesn't even throw out the Q, uses his E, and he kind of forces Viper to make a decision. You don't have cleanse. If I throw this Q out, you're going to get locked up. You're likely going to die. So Viper just says, okay, I'm going to flash away to safety. Good sidestep once again from Showmaker, dodging a lot of these chains, and he just narrowly avoided the gank himself.
Exactly, and you can see this focus because EDG have the bottom lane with so much setup here. The Leona Jhin, so much threat as far as kill pressure if you can burn through these summoner spells. So very clear focus from Canyon. Heads his early first gank down there. Meanwhile, we keep mentioning for EDG these solo lanes, and JJ getting the flash and teleport out of Showmaker before he's level 6 on this Malzahar are very big. And this is where you're going to see repeat usage of those sweepers from EDG around the mid lane to try and now compound the issue for EDG. If they can force kills, dive Showmaker, we will maybe look at Scout's control of his mid wave to see if he starts to build a big wave and try and go for the dive, or if they try and unlock him and get those roams through, because there are very different lanes that each team wants to play off of here.
Speaking of lanes, though, we do have a featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz. Showmaker versus Scout. Both of these players playing so well this tournament. And Scout now on the LeBlanc this time, trying to show Showmaker that he can make it work and bring them to match point.
And of course, I do have stats prepared for this, as I often do.
Stats, man!
So let's have a look at some of the stats, because you can see that they're actually quite comparable in some parts, but in particular, damage per minute has been very excellent for Showmaker throughout the tournament. Look at these early game goal differences that he's been able to accrue, but he's been roaming a lot throughout the tournament pretty consistently, whereas Scout has been focused a lot more on the laning phase. It's not until he gets big advantages in mid that he really tries to translate it to elsewhere on the map. And this is where I expect him to translate some of that pressure to top, as both of them fight for the mid wave and junglers find themselves in the river. Yep,
2v2 as a fair bit of damage from Canyon, but answered back quite nicely there from JJ until the electrocute came out. And now you can see Khan actually with full health. Flandre still sitting at about half, but of course he's Aurelia, so certainly can turn that one around. So, bit of a stalemate there towards the top side. Still, no first blood here at 6 minutes into the game.
And we did see Scout try to move up with Showmaker, doing a great job of following him, making sure that mid pressure is kept up, and as he gets more levels, his wave clear only continues to get stronger. He's going to get first access into the river, and as you rightly said, he does have 6, which means that...
And 0 mana on Scout. Scout does have teleport, he can make his way back in, but not able to actually challenge for that Rift Scuttler utilizing it. Khan dodging out of a lot of these stuns here as Canyon makes his way in. Ward will spot him out, but there's the Vanguard's edge. They've got a teleport immediately coming forward. Maybe a little hasty there before Canyon came on vision. So once again, stalemate.
Yeah, and you can see the communication here. They know, and on the side of Damwon, they're calling Canyon over. Khan says, I need to help push in this wave. I have to reset here. And even with Canyon coming over to hover there, they still go for the teleport play from EDG. Well done by Scout. They get the flash out of Khan to make him a little bit more vulnerable. The Aurelia now, post level 6, flexing that kill threat.
And I love as well that that's the teleport used just to get back to lane anyway. So Scout just throwing it towards the top lane just to see, test the waters and see whether he can make it work, so it doesn't lose out on too much using the summon spell.
I'm actually really curious as to whether or not they saw Canyon on vision at the start of the play, because to me it seemed like they were committed to it, and then the moment the ultimate comes out is exactly when Canyon appears on vision.
Yeah, right.
And then Flandre is like, okay, we're not going to commit to this, but they did still get Khan's flash out of the play overall, so I think that this could be another opportunity for them to look for a gank. Should they want to. They still have a lot of roaming options at their disposal.
Yeah, it is a very valuable summoner spell for them to blow, because the cooldown for Aurelia's ultimate is quite low, and he's going to be able to repeat some kill threat there. So if you control your vision, it really changes how you can actually play that lane as Graves, who's usually one of the most flexible champions that we possibly have in the meta right now. It makes you second guess yourself and requires more jungle attention and focus on these wards. Setting up for Rift Herald, of course, everybody has made the transition over. Beryl trying to get the level 6. Mako's right here fighting for the wave with him, though.
Yeah, both of them kind of racing towards it. Neither of the supports able to quite get there, as you can still see Showmaker in that lane as well. Level 7 for the Malzahar has Ignite as well for this potential fight, as Ghost holding on to the Rift Herald for the moment. Khan's going to roam his way down, and EDG looks like they're not going to commit just yet. Teleport available for Flandre, but they're not going to be able to get it. Flashing the flares, and Damwon Kia will take a free return.
So EDG ultimately spectators as Damwon secure themselves the Herald. Viper did make his way up towards the Herald as well, but Flandre, He was hovering around looking for a potential TP, so fortunately for EDG, their members are not going to lose too much, as Viper now awkwardly has to go the long way around as he makes his way back towards his bot side of the map, because he's not entirely certain as to what is set up in his side of the jungle.
That's going to be important to track these supports in the aftermath of that Rift Trail play too, because now we're living in the world where you have Qiyana ultimate available here for Canyon. If you get Barrel for another opening by pushing over bottom lane and allowing him to roam with, that is a lot of kill threat and pick potential. They can actually retake a lot of this territory. Since Showmaker does have his ultimate ready on the Malzahar, and we saw earlier how much pressure you can have just by walking over menacingly on this champion and threatening the right click.
Here on the bottom side, Viper just tidying up that minion wave, but Damwon might be an early drop of the Rift Herald here, as already this turret's getting sieged, and there it goes. So Shelly going to cram her head into this one, and already we're going to have sub 3 plates left on the mid lane outer turret. So huge for Damwon, full map control.
One of the big things why Damwon are successful in a lot of these types of moves is that Ghost and Barrel do not hesitate to come for these hard push team plays. And what you give up is one wave being pushed in by Viper. So the bottom lane does pay a small price for this kind of show of force towards the mid lane, where you force them to back down and you get your Rift Herald off and you get a large chunk on the tower. But they've repeatedly shown this strategy from Damwon, really flexing on trying to get mid tower damaged very heavily early on and rotating their bottom lane for that threat.
Now, there is a window here for EDG to look to secure themselves the Drake, largely because they will have a push towards the bot side of the map. And JJ, his camps are all spawning on the bot side, whereas Canyon is going to be pathing up towards the top side of the map. The ultimate question will be around, can they get that mid pro? Because Showmaker, now at level 8, has multiple points in his E, and his wave clear is now suddenly so much stronger. You have 2 points in the Q, you have 4 in the E, so you drop that down, you Q the melee minions, and all of a sudden, once you spot the little voidlings as well, that wave clear is imminent, and LeBlanc struggles to deal with that, so that prio is going to shift pretty dramatically in favor of Showmaker.
The set it and forget it wave clear. I absolutely love it. It's why I was a Morgana main when I started playing the game. As Damwon now looking to try and clear out some vision, but it looks like EDG with their control of the river should be able to start off this Drake yet again. And Drake domination has been the aim of the game here for EDG so far. Damwon shut out of all of them in game 1.
And biggest factor here, fellas, is of course the teleport that you were able to secure on the top side by burning Khan's teleport earlier. You know, no possibility of him joining. And even though Flandre got pushed in and would have to give up a cannon wave here with an extra bit of stacking, still trying to utilize that extra threat, so they get the dragon. It's just number 1 on a long road ahead for them, though.
Yeah, we'll see whether Damwon can actually try and prepare for the second one instead of waiting for a potential soul point instead. This time around, though, they do have a lot more control, and I feel like the compositions lend themselves a little bit more for even play across the board. When it comes to setting up for 5v5s, last game it was very difficult for Damwon. This time around, it's a pretty even playing field. So both of these teams gonna have to rely on their own skill to make it work. 400 gold the lead for Damwon, and that basically means nothing.
Yeah, there's so much pressure on these supports to be big playmakers to set these things up with, because EDG do have these very powerful solo laners that can have a lot of extra threat on the backline, but Showmaker's always got that answer button for one of them. It's very good versus LeBlanc, it's very good versus Aurelia, but only one Fetty, so you have to choose, and it's about that positioning. The supports, though, they get to actually change the name of the setup. And
we saw something similar when EDG drafted themselves a Malzahar themselves, because often you have to root yourself in order to lock down a single target, and yes, it can be very effective if that single target closes to you, or...
There's the ultimate. Qiyana goes right into the wall, and that is indeed a supreme display of talent. The Malzahar grabs his first kill of... It's too easy with that spell, to be honest, but grabs the first kill of the game for Damwon. That is first blood. Flash out once again for Khan, but Flandre is still dancing forward. End of the line is there. But Flandre stacked up his passive, and he should be able to turn at a moment's notice. It feels like the Aurelia starting to come online.
Yeah, securing the Gore Drinker there for Flandre, he was like, I'm stronger. I know I can go for this all-in, but a really good flash from Khan to be able to sidestep the E meant that the root does not come down and that Flandre cannot commit to the fight any longer. So, well executed by Khan. It ends up being a trade of flashes, but Damwon get themselves on the board with a really nice play in mids, and I think that this is what we're going to continue to see when playing into these team fights later on into the game. The second that Scout uses W, immediately lock up, you can just see the chains. You see LeBlanc just does not get to play the game.
There were spare spells after that as well. It's terrifying.
It's funny seeing Showmaker, you know, this guy just always applauded for the absolute insane outplays.
What are you saying that Malzahar, like, did you see how well he just pressed his R button onto the LeBlanc right there? That was pinpoint accuracy.
Exactly. I did also want to shout out the changes that they made to Ghostblade a while back. Such an efficient item. And the extra speed in that last one, you know, the activation of Ghostblade from Canyon allows him to close that distance so quickly that there is no chance after the Malzahar ultimate goes down, you're CC locked with the ultimate from Canyon coming through too. So you can really close that distance and actually make up the timing on some of these plays where you need to jump on and you need to R scout before he goes back to safety with his own W. And that's just a little bit of a difference maker.
Can certainly be. EDG with a bit of position here in this river, but we don't have too much to fight over apart from a second Rift Herald. Looks like that was what they've got their eyes on, and in goes Beryl once again. Ulti available for Showmaker. Let's see where he throws it out. There's a golden tag, and the ultimate comes through from Canyon as well to try and help out. Showmaker goes golden with his stopwatch, and he's going to keep himself alive, and this is a bit of a wash for Damwon Kia. They win out the fight, but they lose out on positioning. It looks like EDG should be able to take the Rift Herald.
Yeah, Damwon do go up in kills, but EDG should be able to secure this objective unless Canyon has something to say about it.
Gonna come in a little bit late, tries opportunistically to collect that one, but isn't able to, just bullies EDG out of the pit, but they get out successfully.
And Canyon's ultimate was so impactful there. Because of the little corridor that they were playing around, EDG, their high mobility composition was stifled massively by this combination of Malz and Kiana. And just have a look at this. The engage comes through from Beryl. He's locking up Kai'Sa, forcing the ultimate and the cleanse out immediately. Beryl then stopwatches, and then look at this ultimate hit. Two-man stun onto the LeBlanc as well, so that backline threat is immediately mitigated, and then EDG find themselves in a 2 versus 3 on the backline, which they promptly lose. So Damwon, they play that team fight about as well as they could, and this is one of those scary points about this, those choke points when playing against composition like this.
Yep, and it's going to spell about a 2,000 gold lead, but there is a little bit in the bank for EDG with the fact that they were able to lock down the Rift Herald. So we'll see whether they can make that one work. Still, first brick available, mid lane very low on EDG's side of the map, so a possible target here for Damwon to really open things up.
Also, looking at the reset for Dragon, the ultimate cooldown there is extremely low for especially Rakan, and so they will be able to go set up. Mako goes in to try and early clear out some of this vision. Meanwhile, Damwon pushing down the remnants of that mid lane to actually be able to set up for this is really big. You can then push the minion wave further up mid.
Oh, Flash! Flash ulti comes forward. There's another supreme display of talent, and Flandre is out of there. Viper unable to then get the position as Khan on the side, trying to get Scout out of here. Scout, of course, can be devious, but let's see whether they can fight this 4v5. The Drake also in there. In goes JJ, but not quite able to get the work done that he wanted to. There's the Mimic Distortion, but no damage. Viper still able to take down Canyon, but is it actually going to work out? JJ flashing for his life, and Viper high health bar, but he doesn't have any friends, and it's a double kill for Khan, who is getting his revenge right now. JJ, that was the wrong brush to face check, as Beryl could go down, but no, it's a triple kill for the Graves on the top side.
Another sweep for Damwon here, coming out with the extra couple of kills, and their reward will also be the Dragon. Vedius, how do you outplay the Flash ultimate combo there? Really well done. You can say for the positioning, they just immediately pounce on him. Showmaker just flashes immediately with the Malzahar. He's level 11, ultimate goes down, and Canyon follows up seamlessly every time. See hero, kill hero.
Yep, absolutely beautiful. And we like to say that the ultimate from a Cinder is a gameplay button. Malzahar invented it first.
He did.
There is so much gameplay in that particular tether.
And so there is counterplay afterwards too, because you see EDG, they were the ones who actually forced the re-engage here. They stuck on Dragon even after the pickoff, even after being set 5v4 behind, because those 2 long ultimate cooldowns were both used and invested in getting that kill. Their idea there was try to punish and say that your combination of Flash, Malzahar ultimate, and Kiana ultimate is a bigger loss in value for this team fight than simply losing Flandre. They were incorrect in that, but that was the idea.
Yeah, and we'll get to see exactly how Khan was so impactful as that initial pick does come through from Damwon. A very easy commit onto the Aurelia, and Scout believes that he's in a great position, but that little Voidling spots him out. So Beryl knows goes to look for the collapse, and then immediately the collapse comes through. Showmaker and Ghost are in great positions. They're not taking any of the front of the damage, and then the follow-up can come through. So EDG just thought that they could go for the re-engage, but with the numbers advantage that Damwon do have, along with the positioning of the carries and the damage that comes out from Khan, they were able to come out ahead in this Axe Effect replay.
Yeah, in the end, the extra information makes such a big difference. Not having the power of that Blanc coming in with the flank, not having that big burst damage is huge. Of course, the pick, and you see where the idea came from, it wasn't actually even just the Malzahar and Kiana ultimates, it was also Leona. So that's why they're shouting, we can turn this, we can turn this.
We got it. Well, this inner turret may not got it right now. There are a lot of minions. This one's going down very, very quickly. The siege from Damwon, pretty scary as JJ diving on forward. Ultimate used very early and not really with too much reward. Minions still remain as Damwon able to keep up the siege. Finally, another conga line to come in as Khan on the flank right now. And Showmaker fishing with these silences. EDG sort of trapped in their own jungle, and that is just the turret taken down. All of that extra gold from the inners now. As can they steal this one away? And yes, they absolutely can. Goes over to Canyon with the smite.
Damwon do not relent when they have that early game gold lead, and they know that an easy tower is available up towards the top side. They could split up, but they know that Khan doesn't have the teleport. So instead, have him push mid, have the rest group up as 4 and push through top, and instead play this 4-1 style. It guarantees themselves a tower, and EDG is once again being denied any form of cross-map. They are kind of falling into the tendency that they typically have shown throughout this tournament, which is that when they fall behind early, rather than go for those cross maps, they actually try and answer a lot of the plays that the enemy tries to make in the hopes of finding a fight or a pick or some avenue back into the game. And against a team like Damwon, they're not giving them any of those openings.
Completely agree. And guess what? Their task is even more difficult this game in trying to form a comeback, because not only are they already down facing that early deficit that they have struggled to come back from, but they're also against a team that has massive AD threat and a Malzahar. So a QSS purchase is so inefficient in that the magic resist does not give you a whole bunch. And yet you're facing Leona and Malzahar, and there's all the CC that you do want to try and shed. It's definitely a very well manicured and set up position that DK force EDG into. You get so much value when you invest in heavy CC champions, but also lots of AD threat.
Yeah, and avoiding the Malzahar tax is something that, like you say, you want to do, but you get punished. Like, yes, if you don't pay your taxes, generally you get punished, right? But in this game, you absolutely do, because not being able to get out there, especially if you're a priority target, is so dangerous, and that cleanse won't do anything.
And they're not taxing billionaires here. They're losing. they're 4K down here. They don't have extra income, Bedius.
This is a whole different debate right now.
Oh man, yeah, that's true. They right now cannot afford any QSS, and that's why you don't see any in the inventory. Second items slowly starting to edge their way through for EDG. Meanwhile, Damwon are rolling in it, and it is a very different early game. We saw a lot more trading this time round, but a pretty late first blood still. And I think the EDG, the biggest thing about their draft was trying to leverage that strong mid jungle, which they just couldn't. They couldn't get those kills onto Showmaker. He was not shut down. And now he's in a position where he's at 2 items. The Zhonya's is completed. He also has some healing reduction in his back pocket as well. And they're going to keep looking for these picks as we set up for the next Drake.
Yeah, the next Drake, there are 2 smites on the side of Damwon as well, so keep your eye out on that. As Supreme Display of Talent finds 2. Viper actually takes so much damage as the Solar Flare comes through. They're trying to engage onto JJ, who flashes his way out. Mako trying to cause a ruckus, but instead just loses his life. The Rakan taken down. It's a double kill for Khan, and JJ's running for the hills. Canyon wanting to dive over there. JJ trying to back. But that Q did so much work from Canyon. He's hitting critical mass right now. And both of those smites aren't even necessary as they take the Drake.
Yeah, chasing him down now. Damwon are able to pick up Dragon number 2. Guess what? It's an easy transition over to Baron control as well. Now, Scout will revive and have teleport, but that's another cooldown that you have to pay if you want to go contest this. So Damwon at the very least will start this. They don't have Malzahar, Leona, or Kiana ultimates, so maybe they just back off and they just try and get your teleport out, but they're actually burning it down so quickly they can even threaten.
They have double smite as well, so it's not a real 50-50 right now as Barrel's trying to cause... Oh, it is! JJ steals it away! He will pay for it with his life, but that is huge for EDG. Can they get out is the question, as Blantre will get eviscerated. Just try and get out, boys! You've done it already!
Damwon flipped it and they lost the coin toss. Ooh, Viper may even get a kill, but Beryl, Beryl is far too tanky. But this was something that JJ did multiple times against RNG. He did it against Genji. You cannot flip against this man, because if he sees a Baron, he's going to take a Baron.
Exactly. This youngster is doing so much for EDG. He plays the front line for a lot of their team fights. He lands these critical smites to keep them in it. Atlas, he gives hope to the LPL with a single press of a button.
And there were 2 smites on Damwon's side.
I like those
so much damage piled up, and he just pops on in and steals it away. Just beautifully done.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, you know, the irony of the double smites, it was Showmaker that smited early, which then set up for... You would ideally think that with the comms, they would just smite at the same time, but the second smite fell short, and that was JJ's time to shine. He steals away the Baron and keeps EDG's hope still alive.
It is easier said than done, you know, perfectly timing.
It definitely is.
It's much easier for us.
People often set it up as a given. You're like, oh, you know what? 2 smites, 900 plus 900, easy, right?
That's exactly what I did.
All junglers are now looking at their mid lane duo partners and saying, see, if Showmaker can't do it, it's not that easy, is it?
Also, the spellbook smite not as powerful as previously. So let's take a look what EDG can do with this Baron now that they have secured it, breathing life back into them. They're going to get some money off topside too. Yep. You know, the benefits of that play will keep on rolling in.
The Red Bull Baron power play, not exactly massive right now, just under 1k, has now ticked over it, as I say it, but Showmaker should be able to respond with this bottom lane outer turret. It isn't going to necessarily put EDG in the lead, however, it slowed Damwon Kia down massively, and Damwon were running away with the game. They created a very early 4,000 gold lead, and now EDG have bought themselves some valuable time to get this composition rolling, gets Flandre into these side lanes, and start really making the game about them.
I realize that the spellbook smite's gonna lose value, right? Because you can't get a jungle item, so you can't convert it.
Oh.
So it's basic, right?
Oh yeah.
I think so? Yeah,
maybe it just doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I think
well,
it does
some damage, just not quite
I think you're right. I think that's a great point, actually.
But doubling the damage certainly does feel like it would be much better. So the fact that Showmaker smote early is... he's not the one that you want smiting early.
But what I will say is that even though EDG have bought themselves some time, that's not going to change the fact that they need to find a way to navigate this team fight. Because we've seen now that every single team fight, EDG haven't really gotten to do anything. It's always been on Damwon's terms.
Well, JJ immediately has to ultimate to try and get them out of the area, so Crescent Guard not going to be available for the next engagement. This is going to be a much more brittle Xin Zhao for the next little while. Mako very far away from this one as Zenith Blade goes barely wide. As we just mentioned, JJ was very vulnerable.
This is the deepest flank I've seen for a while.
Who's he flanking? What's he flanking?
I think that right now his priority was just to cover Scout. Scout was just pushing in through the bot side, and he was utilizing the fact that they had a pushed wave in bot to get some deep vision in before he reset and replenished a lot of those wards. But yeah, it's not really going to amount to much. I think that they couldn't really do much about protecting that tier 2 in the mid lane, so they just conceded it. JJ did lose his ultimate. He doesn't lose his flash, but still, the gold is continuing to mount for DK. The rich continue to get richer, and EDG, they need to find some sort of miracle play. The next Drake is spawning soon, and I imagine that EDG will look to fight for it rather than try and stall things out.
Yeah, Damwon Kia just went on a shopping trip as well, so they're fresh off a reset. Scout shows himself for just a mere moment. And Beryl not going to be able to get any Shields of Daybreak on him or anything like that. But Damwon with a bunch of items have taken a bit of money out of that pocket as Flandre is going to teleport back in for this potential Dragon Soul fight.
See a lot of vision being cleared out by Damwon.
You ain't flanking this team.
You ain't flanking.
It's just not happening right now.
JJ sitting in this bush, but he's going to get spotted out by Showmaker, and Damwon taking their time here. Khan has now joined the fight. Let's see how EDG navigate this one.
Yep, they've started off the Drake now. Flandre off on that flank like you were talking about, but is going to be spotted by all that vision we noted earlier. Now JJ inside this pit. Does have the ultimate back available as Khan dashes on forward, looks to try and get damage down onto the young jungler. The supreme display of talent does barely anything as now EDG bringing the fight to the back line of Damwon Kia. They trade as the mid laners both go down, but Kiana still does so much work. Flandre has to run, and that's the stun from Ghost. He is magnetic with these skill shots on the Jhin, and that is sole point for Damwon Kia.
And they're not going to stop there. Right up the mid lane. Damwon will push through, get up to the inhibitor turret as well.
And Damwon just navigate the fight beautifully once again. even though EDG was able to just collapse onto Showmaker, it was not enough. He still was even able to get his ultimate off onto Viper to just buy a little bit more time for his team, and then the rest just followed up with sufficient damage. Canyon, Khan, still huge damage dealers in the fight, and EDG falls short once again.
All right, so I was digging into, there was a bug on the Spellbook Smite previously.
Okay.
And it's supposed to convert after several charges. But sometimes it had still been the lower value. So we have to go back and look at the actual replay.
But I was convinced it did 900. I was convinced it was.
Yeah, because after the multiple uses, then it does convert.
I respect your commitment to
But
this fight. Whose fault was it really?
We have to dig deeper. Smite fights are personal to junglers.
I was going to say, I feel like this is a Kobe thing as we have a look at the replay.
But let's have a look back at this. So you can see here, they actually get access onto the backline. Showmaker blows up. But look at Khan and Canyon. They force JJ out. Scout gets one shot on the backline. And even though Viper's still alive, because he's committed his ult, he's invested everything to get that kill onto Showmaker, he does not have the gold or the damage to be able to clean up the rest of the fight. Damwon really just hitting with their wallets in that fight.
I like it. Hitting with their wallets. Big fan. As Damwon Kia now just trying to clear out some vision around the Baron that's respawned. I think they'll do their homework this time around, as JJ just been too good at getting these smites to land. Showmaker without his smite, doesn't matter how much damage it does, if he doesn't actually have access to it, as they're going to start the fight instead. JJ taking a lot of damage. Crescent Guard is going to help him though, as Scout connects the chains but is unable to get the stuns. EDG keep everyone alive, but they don't get access to this Baron pit. They have a control ward there, but that can get cleared out very quickly, and Damwon have so much knowledge.
Now, in this situation, Damwon do not want to flip the Baron. They can't afford to take this gamble, and they re-engage.
Solar Flare as well. It's a lot of damage onto Flandre, and he's got a big health bar, but he still pops like a balloon. Showmaker takes him down, and health is exactly what Malzahar loves eating through. So now, no top laner for EDG, but JJ is still here. He can still be the hero as Viper dives on forward. The cleanse was good, but he still explodes. Beryl keeps himself alive as well, and EDG are getting routed. This is not going to be a 50-50 because Damwon Kia don't want anyone alive. When this Baron is there, he still dives into the pit, but there's still a bunch of health on this Baron. It's going down low as he's trying to fight for it. It's down to 15 before he dies. Oh man, that was very close.
The control this time around for Damwon. They're not going to let it get that low. It was close. JJ got in there, putting in work, trying to burn.
He smited it to 15.
But he didn't even smite it. It was Canyon that smited, and JJ still had his smite up. He just ended up dying before he could get it off, but Damwon showcasing their control. Every time EDG tried to get somewhere close to the pit, they're immediately collapsed on, and they use their extremely high single target damage to just burst each EDG member as they approach the pit. And we'll have a look back once again. Notice how Damwon, they start off the Baron, they're taking their time, and as Flandre approaches, he is the first target. Used everything, multiple ultimates to shut him down, force EDG back, and they just rinse and repeat this process.
Exactly. Returning to the Baron, they can still turn. They're going to pull right back off the damage as soon as JJ gets the back. Another Jin W from Ghost. This is why he's such a high priority champion in so many of these series.
Yep, he's so very good at it as well. 1-0-12 right now on this pick.
Here we go.
Yep, teleport flank to try and get them in there already. JJ taking a lot of damage. There's the Sterix down, double flashes as Mako tries to engage. Showmaker going golden, but can he actually stay alive after the fact? The supreme display of talent says absolutely yes as Damwon Kia. They will rout EDG. That's a clean ace, and they will win game 2.
The game overs come through as Damwon dab on EDG. 5-0, the Nexus in their eyes. We're going 1-1, boys.
Yep, it's a best of 3 now between Damwon Kia and EDG. I don't want to say things like statement game or the fact that we've got a series on our hands.